Boker Tov. We are continuing with Halachot of Lashon Hara. We're discussing the past few days receiving and listening to Lashon Hara. Today is part 2 of this section, being Choshesh for Lashon Hara. Chashash is permissible. Halacha is actually, this is very important halachot. Even though one is generally not allowed to be mekabel Lashon Hara and accept it as fact, Chazal teach us that lachush mia ba'eh. It is nevertheless okay to be concerned and take what you hear with a grain of salt. This is the Gemara Masechet Nida. One is allowed and even encouraged to be choshesh, to suspect or be wary that the information may be possibly true, but only to the extent of protecting himself and others from harm based on the information. So the Chafetz Chaim is very clear that being choshesh, to suspect that perhaps what you're hearing about that person is true, is allowed, but we'll explain what that means. A person has a cheskat kashrut, a presumption of innocence, which is not changed in any way via Lashon Hara. Therefore, one must be extremely careful not to believe the information that he's being choshesh for, nor to consider it even as a safek in his mind. So again, it's a very difficult balance. The halacha is obviously you can't believe Lashon Hara about someone else. That's Kabalat Lashon Hara. We've spoken about that at length, why it's prohibited. But the Chafetz Chaim, based on the Gemara Masechet Nida, explains that michush is allowed. You're allowed to be choshesh. You're allowed to suspect. When you hear something about someone in business, I can suspect to protect myself and others with that information. But this is the tricky part that we have to be very honest with ourselves. When I suspect this information to be true, I cannot judge or I can't believe it to be true. That's the difficulty. Just because you're proceeding with caution doesn't enable you to believe it and label this person as a thief or as a liar. It makes no difference if the information regarding the subject involves a small infraction or more severe ones. Sins ben adam lemakom, such as an immoral act, or ben al mechavero, even a charge of murder, or whether the information pertains to a personal deficiency, such as a report that the rabbi of the city is not worthy of his position. The law is always the same. One may not accept it, but may be choshesh as necessary. So again, we'll wrap up with it today, but it's a very important principle. You can be choshesh, you can suspect, you can be wary of what you hear, but you can't believe it to be the truth, and you can't judge that person any differently than how you judged him in the past. We continue with this halachot in upcoming days. Hazak ubaruch.